Hello and welcome to the THC show. I'm Neil Magnuson and I've been the host of this show for the last year or so, and yeah, we're broadcasting again from what was the Healing Wave Cannabis Substitution Program store, and as you can see, it's no longer what it was at all. Now it's just a vacant space, and we're all very sad about that. This was the best place that you could have imagined. We had people telling us they thought it was the best place in the world, that there's probably nothing like what we had going on here. And what we had was low barrier access to cannabinoids. Low barrier access means that it's very easy to access and it's not priced out of range, especially for people that are daily users. This has all been a result of the Cannabis Substitution Project that ran out of Vandu for 3.5 years up until this last June. And there at Vandu, we would have people line up and wait for a few hours for us to get there and for our volunteers to package up a bunch of care packs of high-dose edibles and then hand them out to the lineup and get them on their way. And having done that for 3.5 years, obviously we went through winters, we went through the squelching hot summer days, and even without that, very difficult for people to line up. These are people that have many different health issues, including mobility issues. And so it was really, really great that we could get out of that particular way of doing it, of handing out these care packs to people after having had them line up for hours. And so we managed to get the City of Vancouver to pass a motion to say that they would support low barrier access. And we met with Rebecca Bly. She's been very supportive, but was unfortunately able to stop our demise here with respect to having this storefront. But we met with Rebecca after she'd had the motion passed. We left with an understanding that we would find a storefront and open up low barrier access, and then they would assess that and city staff would report. And if we were providing what the neighborhood needed and doing it in a way that would address the opioid crisis, then they would find a way to license us and support us. But that didn't happen because before city staff came and had a look, and in fact they've never come to have a look, the licensing department in Vancouver showed up and they didn't know about the motion, and they didn't know about the Cannabis Substitution Program, and they didn't know that we were different than the other dispensaries, and that we were going to try to have low prices for good quality cannabinoids and do it to try to offset the use of opioids for people that have all these different health issues that cannabis can help with, and many of those health issues drive them to be using the drugs that they're using. So the licensing department sending a letter of cease and desist to us, and a letter to our landlord threatening him that he could be prosecuted and fined on a daily basis if he didn't evict us, resulted in our landlord eventually taking us to court. And he did try to hold it off as long as he could. We were telling him that we were going to get these licenses. We were pretty sure that somebody would step forward from City Hall and explain to him that he wouldn't be prosecuted or fined. But that did not happen. In fact, the prosecutor from City Hall, Mr. LeBlanc, towards the end of all these, before we ended up in court, sent a letter saying that the city was not going to retract their policy of fining landlords and illegal dispensary owners. And so that didn't help us at all. And we ended up with a court date, and so 2 weeks ago Monday we were in court. Well, we weren't really in court because they're not in court anymore. Nobody gets to go to court. Now it's a phone-in thing. In this case, the judge was supposedly in his chambers, although who knows. Our lawyer, I think, was probably at his home, and the other lawyer for the landlord would have been maybe in his office somewhere. And I got to listen in with my mic muted to the proceedings. And I mean, it was a pretty simple commercial tenancy situation. We had an oral month to month that the landlord had terminated properly, but we refused to go, and now we're disputing that we should go because we were doing this life-saving work here. And now our program wasn't about having people line up for hours. It was about them coming in 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, whenever they choose. And every 4 days, they could get 420 milligrams of high-dose edibles for free, just in exchange for filling out a little questionnaire every time they came, so that we can gather information about what works best and all the different sides of it. So that was such a beautiful thing that we managed to find a storefront. We got moved in, but then here the licensing department is threatening the landlord, and now we end up in court. And in court, we presented a very clear and concise submission, complete with our federal application to the health minister for a temporary exemption from section 140, and eventually to be licensed, to have all of our suppliers licensed, and be able to continue the work that we're doing here without having to raise our prices or cut back on the services that we can offer people, because this is an epidemic, and there's people dying, and there's all the results of having your friends die, and all the results of the poverty that's here, and now with the coronavirus and all of that. These are very, very vulnerable people that we're helping here in very, very tenuous times. And so that this is a fragile thing, our project, with the respect to not being interfered with and not being stopped and not having impediments put in front of us. It's really, really important that we continue to be able to give these people the high-dose edibles that we've been giving them for 3.5+ years, because they rely on us. And without that, many of them would be very upset. Many of them would end up going back to the poison drug supply. And so we felt that we really couldn't interrupt what we were doing in any way. We also had a letter from Zachary Walsh. Professor Walsh is one of the foremost recognized experts with respect to cannabis substitution for opioids. And he wrote us a letter saying that he vigorously supported us and that he felt that we should not have any pressure put on us by any level of government as we continue to do the work that we're doing. And that letter was not allowed to be admitted into evidence in our hearing because it came in about an hour, that email came in about an hour after the deadline for submissions to the hearing. So we had the hearing, and the only thing in the hearing seemed to be about whether or not we'd be able to protect the landlord and if he was to get fined by the city. So that, could we put up a bond of some sort? Our submissions about not being able to stop our program without people being harmed and put at risk of death, we were asking for a 6-month adjournment of the whole eviction thing to get our licenses in place. The judge said during the hearing that he didn't have a detailed look at our submission, which bothered me a little bit, but then when he said he wasn't going to make his decision until Friday, we thought that he would probably have a good look at it before Friday and recognize the gravity of the situation. That this is really actually quite serious here. When there's 250 people that are relying on a particular source of a safe supply of an alternative option to the street drugs, then it's very, very important that you continue that and not have them, like I say, end up back on the streets. So we felt that he'd have a good look at it, and we wanted to put some more information in because it wasn't made clear to him at the end of the hearing that we would be able to put up a bond. And so we wanted our lawyer to be able to explain that to him, to get that information to him. There was also a city staff report that came out that was quite supportive of us, and we wanted to get that in front of the judge as well. But he refused to take any more information regarding the case. And when I heard that, I thought, well, that's positive. It has to be. I mean, he just doesn't need anything more from us because he's going to grant us what we're asking for. But that was certainly not the case. And in fact, he said that he didn't think we could get our licenses in place in those 6 months. He didn't have confidence that we'd be able to achieve that. And so, well, in my mind, so what? Bring us back in 6 months and see where we are in the process. And if we need more time, then, by that time, we'd be able to demonstrate how much good we're doing even more. But no, he said that we were coming to court with unclean hands because even though we have taken it upon ourselves as citizens to do what governments haven't done and refuse to do, which is to provide cannabis as an option for people that are addicted to hard drugs during the time of a public health emergency and an epidemic where people are dying. So for me, my hands aren't unclean. I think that we have never hurt anybody in our program or with our project. We have provided life-saving medicine and life-saving and life-benefiting medicine to hundreds, if not thousands of people over the course of the 3.5 years and done so much good that, my hands are pretty clean, I think. I think the government's hands are pretty dirty when it comes to, why they won't allow this to happen and how we've demonstrated so well for so long in such clear and concise ways about the benefits of what we're doing. We have so many experts behind us, healthcare professionals, politicians, media, people support what we're doing, and yet the government still is finding ways to not allow this to happen. And in this case has broken a lot of hearts. And there's a lot of very scared and sad people right now because our beautiful little oasis in the middle of what is a war zone outside has become so beneficial to people, and now that that's taken away, nobody really understands why a judge would make that decision, and nor do I. But it seems like because I was arriving with unclean hands, he decided that, and 3.5 years worth of having my hands get more and more unclean every day as we continue to increase the amount of cannabis that we're giving out to people, that I think he felt he needed to punish me on behalf of the law. And the people that were helping were not part of the equation. They can just be damned as far as he was concerned. And I think that is the most horrible thing I can imagine. I really thought that there was no choice for whatever level of government, whatever public servant that we encountered, that with the evidence being spelled out so clearly the way we had it, and Mr. Conroy did a fantastic job, that submission should not be able to allow anybody like this judge to make the decision that he made. So I'm really shocked by it all. I can't imagine. He gave us 1 week to get out. So here we are. We're out. The space is empty, and we're now in an RV out front of this, which you'll see momentarily. So we need to have letters written to these politicians, to these people that can make a difference. We need to have the media really alerted to what's going on here and just how serious it is, but how wrong it is. Like, this can't get much more wrong than that. When we're supposed to be in a free country, we've got Remembrance Day coming right up, where we're going to honor those that went and put their lives on the line for our freedom. It's lest we forget they died for our freedom, that they don't tag onto the end of that lest we forget near often enough. They died for our freedom, and freedom is a very important thing. And if you don't have it, bad shit happens. And because we don't have it, we've spent so much money ruining so many people's lives just to try to prohibit people from using a plant that actually only interferes with the bottom line of a bunch of different corporations and other industries that have replacement patentable, substitutes for what that plant can offer us. And so for that, for greed, for money, these people have been willing to allow lives to be ruined, and for us to have wasted so many of our tax dollars, all for no good reason whatsoever. And we're still doing it. And we've been fighting this and talking these truths for a long time, that a crime is intentionally causing harm to somebody else. It's not having possession of some flower or growing flowers or trading flowers with people. That's got nothing to do with being a crime. If there's no victim, if you had no understanding, no intent, no knowledge that you were going to hurt somebody, if you didn't actually hurt somebody, then it's not a crime. And it's perverted our whole justice system, this whole attempt to prohibit cannabis for all of these decades here in Canada and in the United States and around the world. It's one of the most wrong things that there is in our environment. Cannabis is so good. Trying to prohibit it is so bad. So we've been fighting this, and now we get the powers that be to decide to give us some freedom by having legalization. But legalization is just a bullshit made-up word to protect what they're actually doing, which is the hostile takeover of the entire cannabis industry and everybody else that was the founders, the legacy people that brought us to that point, that got them to where they could win a majority government from non-parties, from non-opposition status on a platform of legalizing cannabis. And I trusted them, and that was a huge mistake. And a lot of our community of activists decided that we could put our faith in Trudeau and that we would get some form of legalization that made sense to us. But instead, it was all just a scam and a smoke and mirrors show, so that him and his insider buddies and the rich people could take over the production of cannabis for all of Canada. And anybody that wants to trade in cannabis has to do it through their system, with their licensing, with their packaging, and all the rest of that. So it's still as wrong as it ever was, but it's because of how right we were that we got it to this point where they could pull that one on us. And now we came up with what we really need, which is a community cannabis store that has all of the different cannabinoids in all of the different proper potencies and all the different ways that you would need it, from concentrates to topicals to suppositories to flowers and everything else, the way people need to have it, and the pricing getting down there, to where it's affordable for people. And that's what we're trying to put together here. We've still got our application in before the federal government. We haven't gotten a ruling from the judge that what we're doing can't be done. All we got was him saying, get out in 7 days, which was obviously an attempt to try to shut us down and hurt us as best he could. But we're not going for that. We're not going to allow that to be the case. He might not take the lives of these people seriously. They might not matter to him. But these people's lives matter to us. They matter to me and all of my different volunteers, all of our donators and the people that support us. We care about these people. These are people that deserve to be cared for. They're not just bad people that made bad choices and now they're addicted to drugs and it's their own fault and damn it, like, pull up your pants and move forward or we're just going to kick you to the curb. That's not what's going on down here at all. These are people from all walks of life that end up in trouble with substances because of a lot of different things that happen. Most of them not their fault. Sometimes it's, they made some bad party choices. Yeah, but why would a person make a bad party choice? Because, they're just young people. They're figuring stuff out. People make mistakes. People don't know. You don't know who to believe or what. So our brothers and sisters, mums and dads, aunts and uncles, and children end up, many of them, suffering in pain because they've been traumatized through childhood bullying or sexual abuse or workplace accidents. And who knows what happens to people. And if you don't know because you've never been there, well then just imagine that you just don't know because you've never been there. But, for most of us, we kind of understand that, we're just one real bad injury away from being addicted to some sort of pharmaceutical drug or from being out on the street because we can't pay our rent and how we cycle downwards and how depression comes along and sets in and makes it way worse. And you're not getting proper sleep and you're not getting proper nutrition and you end up, in that cycle of poverty and addiction that is the problem that we got going on here. It is so visual in this neighborhood and that's what's going on. So this is an answer to that. This is a way to help rescue people that have been stuck down here and in these situations to have at least the option of caring people, providing cannabis, high-dose edibles, good quality flowers, nice concentrates, and it's a different path for people. It helps get them off the path that they're on. They can get right through withdrawal. They can end up, feeling better about themselves. They end up eating better than they did before. It helps people sleep. It does so many good things for people. It is such an answer for people. And we get that testimonial all day long here in the store that we had here for 4.5 months. People would come in so many times every day and say, hey man, I haven't slept like that in so long, that was great. Or, now I'm feeling so much better these days that I can actually think about doing some part-time work and get rescuing themselves because at least there's a place where there's an option for them to get that which will help. So, it's really a real tragedy that's going on here. This is a travesty of justice, but it's a great expose of how our governments are corrupt. And so, we've moved into the 419 slot anyway. So, I'm going to wrap that up. You kind of know what I'm talking about. I talk about it all the time. That information is out there. Roll them if you got them. And... it's the 420 session coming up, and as always, I think Glenn Wells is probably here, about to join us. Let's leave this sort of sad, depressing, vacant shell of an ex-beautiful store and have a 420 session. So what's going on out here? Now where'd you go? Aha! I think we found him. There he is.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Glenn.
420 on Cordova Street.
Yeah. And it's getting dark already,
Yeah, East Cordova, yeah. That time thing, right?
Let's get under the tent here. So, let's have a look at the front of the store. Not the store anymore. It's just an old sign shop now. It's like it was never here. I'm kind of sad about the fact that we haven't had mainstream media come here and see us before we got closed down. We certainly put it out to all of them that were around, all the local mainstream media, and none of them bothered to come down and have a look. And now I guess there's no evidence we were ever here except for all the video evidence that we got and the people's testimonials. So what we're doing now is we've decided that we need to be right here because that's where people know to find us. And we didn't want to be even a block away somewhere and try to have people figure out where we are in the short term. So we told people that we would be here, and I got a RV that kind of like the Scooby van, It's a little bit small and cramped, and that's where we are now, and that's just right up here. Where we have the back door where we have the Cannabis Substitution Program coming out of the back door, and you have just the low barrier access going on out the side window here.
It's totally Cheech and Chong, man. This is awesome.
Because just crazy times we're in. Anything can happen. You think you know the schedule, and then there it's not going to be that way. So I don't know if we want to have a little look in there. You boys want to be on camera for a minute? What's going on in here? I'll have like a weed pizza and a hash burger, please.
Okay, what kind of...
Yes, I want a mushroom burger. Thanks. So yeah, it's crazy sad days here going on with the Cannabis Substitution Program and the Healing Wave. We'll see how long this lasts, right? Like I think that maybe the Vancouver Police Department is good with us and they understand, or at least, hopefully they'll be understanding of what we're doing and why we're here. We don't plan to be here very long, right? Hey, Glenn.
Go on in. Hey,
what are we doing here?
I don't know. I was waiting for you to finish talking.
Yeah, I don't finish talking.
Well, I did want to say I had the chance to meet Missy. From,
big shout out to Missy from the Fraser Valley, from Gin and Chronic there. The beautiful donation of some chocolate bars for the CSP.
Line chocolate, yeah.
Fantastic stuff.
Medicated
How do you know?
chocolate.
You had
you had her meet me. That's what I said.
I know. I was just teasing you.
Yeah.
But no, that's fantastic, and that's what keeps this program going. Is people like that want to help out and give back.
Yeah.
So.
If you're in my area and you need to make a donation to Neil, I'm glad to come and meet you, or you can come meet me. And
your area being Mission.
Yeah, well, Lower Fraser Valley. Yeah, I can go from Hope to Chilliwack.
Oh hell, you go from
Agassiz,
Michelle and Peters,
Harrison, any of that area, Maple Ridge.
Anywhere in British Columbia, maybe stretching out a little bit into Alberta.
As long as we can do it on days I don't have Isabel.
Glenn loves to drive.
Okay? I love to drive. Yes, I do. I do love to drive.
I do too.
Yep.
How blessed are we to be able to drive, eh?
I know, eh? I like the van.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's like Breaking Bad Junior.
Pouring rain day today. Eh?
Yeah, well, you got the tent. This is great.
Tent works already. We got the other one in the back there.
I see you got a little cup to hold it up there.
Well, we had dripping water. You got a MacGyver things all the time. One cup was not quite enough.
And who was the MacGyver? Jen, Andrew, or George?
Me.
Oh, you nice.
I'm the MacGyver around here.
Well, Jen's got some brains. She does some pretty good articles and stuff like that for
I'm
you
not
guys.
saying those guys can't do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm the MacGyver. And this girl.
The people.
The people.
The people. Can't say you people. You gotta say the people.
Can't say you people. The people that are around me are all very capable.
I see that they got themselves tippies, but they never asked about us, right? Yeah.
You have a vehicle, sir. I have to walk. I carry 4 copies.
Life is hard.
I would have bought all your copies. There you go.
So what else is new?
How's CannaMatch is doing great.
CannaMatch.ca.
It's getting more people now that the weather is bad and we're more COVID
and then
stuff
the
like
COVID
that,
numbers are up, so people are back staying at home all the time.
Yeah.
And well, not all of them obviously, but a lot of them. So, if you want to connect with somebody.
If you want to meet somebody and you're smoking, but I guess you can't share really during COVID-19. But if you want to smoke with somebody and they smoke their own,
have a session 6 feet away.
Yeah, or outside. Because apparently you're
outside's
okay. You're
better,
outside,
unless
right?
it's pouring rain and miserable.
Check out CannaMatch.ca.
CannaMatch.ca.
Yeah, you might even fall in love with somebody. You never know.
You never know. And one of these days you're gonna have somebody say they got married because
it'll be Jen.
Jen, are you on CannaMatch.ca?
Not yet.
No?
Not yet.
She doesn't want to meet nobody.
I know.
Happy single.
She's happy single.
I got my hands
somebody.
full with work
Just meet a
and
friend.
cats.
Other people to smoke with.
I have lots of friends.
Yeah, there you go. You do.
Somebody should go get the cat. No, you shouldn't.
The cat might look
We don't want the cat outside. We try to scare him about outside.
He's peeking his head out the gate.
I know.
Was he?
But I closed the door. I figured out how to get the door closed now.
Oh, did you? Oh, nice.
He's still around, but he's waiting for a new shop
like
as
this
well.
idea. I do.
The what?
I like this idea.
The idea?
Yeah.
Well,
hey, it's getting it to the people. You're not closing down. You're not giving up. That's, yeah. determination, you know?
We need a storefront.
Yep.
So when we find a storefront, and
In
we
this
will,
area or anywhere.
within about a 3 or 4 block radius of Main and Hastings, I mean,
Okay.
that's basically right here.
Yeah.
So about 3 or 4 blocks either way, we would consider. 4 is getting a bit much. We want to be right where the people are that we can get to, right?
They're in the alleys and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and also you're saying about cannabis being healthy for you. You know, growing hemp is also healthy for the planet. We don't need just to smoke and to use as medicine, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Growing hemp
man.
4 times a year, hemp plants taking 4 or 5 times the carbon dioxide that a tree does. You know, it's not just good for you, it's good for the planet too.
It's about a whole bunch of different powerful things, but on the lines of what you're talking about, hemp could replace toilet paper.
Oh yeah.
Toilet paper. You know, imagine how many trees
Henry Ford
we're
made a car
using.
80 years ago out of hemp.
Well, it makes plastics as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, toilet paper on its own is just a huge blight as to how many trees
And
we
I
have to
believe
cut down
hemp
for toilet
paper
paper.
lasts longer.
Much longer.
Right, so when you write out something and you make a book, that book would last longer if they were
much
using
longer.
hemp paper,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so I think some of the
It's far
oldest books
superior
that we have
paper.
were written on hemp,
Originally, American money was made on hemp paper.
On hemp paper,
Yeah,
yes.
and the Declaration of Independence and then many of the other documents that they had were done on hemp paper. And it lasts like so much
Yeah,
longer.
the strongest rope that you can have in the world is the hemp rope, right?
And it's one of the
most
best
expensive.
fabrics.
Yeah, and the most expensive too.
When I first heard that cannabis could be used as a textile, as a fabric, I thought like gunny sacks.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, like potato sacks,
Potato
right?
sacks, yeah.
Which work.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that hemp can be made into some of the most beautiful fabrics as well.
I have a pair of hemp tabs. They are my favorite fucking tabs.
Yeah, but
So
the hemp
beautiful.
doesn't break down as fast, so you don't need a new pair. Whereas when they produce, you give it to us now, it breaks down, our jeans rip and stuff like that.
The
and we're gonna
original
buy more,
Levi's.
right?
Although I
Yes.
must say, they are the most expensive pair of chili peppers.
Well,
but
and the
that's-
reason for that,
because it's hard to make.
is because of the prohibition on cannabis. There was no secondary processing going on
No.
in North America here.
Yeah, that's what the problem
And
is.
so
You can grow it,
you
but they
could
got no way
grow
to
it,
manufacture it.
but to get it turned into hemp pants, you've got to ship it to the Philippines or to China and have it turned into clothing and then shipped back again. So it literally has gone like once around the whole globe.
So, you know,
just to get to you.
Now, I know Jimmy Pattison just bought a whole bunch of lumber mills. Mr. Jimmy Pattison should turn those lumber mills into manufacturing hemp because it's almost the same fiber. I think if he has the money to do it, he's got the buildings to do it, he can employ the people that he's laying off buying those plants.
If it's a good business plan, he'll be all over it.
I'm sure. Well, that's why he's buying lumber mills right now, right? He might see a change coming.
Have you seen the price of lumber these days?
No,
like,
it's-
holy
it's
shit.
way up or
man,
way down or way up,
I
eh?
can't even imagine.
Also, maybe that's what it was more like.
I used to have, I used to be a carpenter. I
Yeah.
used to have a truck that I'd fill full of building materials and go do jobs and stuff. And now the cost of filling my truck full of like plywood and 2x4s and siding, oh my God, so much higher. I can't even, I look at it and go, really?
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And do you think people are saying that because of our environment that raises the prices of the lumber?
I don't know.
You know,
Supply
like
and demand
saving
probably
trees
to a
and
degree.
Stuff, like, yeah.
I don't know.
Wow,
You'd think that, logging practices would get more efficient.
Yes.
Ways to bring it to market would get more
Stop
efficient.
fucking logging, go ahead.
But it's kind of like whatever the market will bear, it seems,
Yeah.
Like they just keep raising prices. And if they're all doing it, then, like every lumber yard sort of raises prices kind of in unison of the others. It's
And
been
if you
going on
tell
for a
people
long
that
time.
you're going to stop using oil or lumber and stuff like that just happened to Biden, didn't he? Didn't he just say that he was going to get rid of the oil
I don't follow what
industry?
Biden's
No, it was on the news.
Or any of those
But then,
jokers.
then the oil industry started getting mad at him because he had said that he was going to eventually get rid of the oil or fossil fuels.
Politics,
Yeah, politics, man. He changed his story within a day.
For me, I'm just so shocked that the best America can do is those two clowns that are
know.
running for president.
I
It's
know.
like,
Yeah.
holy
And
smokes.
isn't Biden older than Trump? I would think.
I think he's older than Moses. I'm not sure.
I think
man.
there's some new blood in there, some young blood.
some
man.
young blood would be a good idea.
And maybe that Vice President Harris there, if he wins and she gets in, well, then maybe she could be president and she could be the
And
very
then we'll
first.
find out that she's
Yeah.
as horrible as all the rest because that's how they all seem to be, right?
That's the state
Like
for you,
they're just people that have towed the corporate line of keeping prohibition going on and telling lies about cannabis.
Yeah.
I want to see that change over time. I'm hoping we can get there, but man, oh man, it just seems to be getting worse instead of better. When I look at those two guys, and for some reason, none of the other people that are running have a hope.
No.
But between those two,
Because they don't have
I'm
parties
like, wow.
and not millions behind them, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
'cause it's all big money.
Well, Kanye does.
The best
but-
way to win an election is have a real big bag of money.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, it should be like Brewster's Millions. Vote for none above.
Yeah,
none of the above. Right, none of the above. That was a great movie, and he won, and yeah, you know, that was great.
We sure need to have some change in our system.
Yes.
So anyway, well, that was good.
Yeah,
My
that was
joint's
great.
gone.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
All
Sorry
right.
we don't have a nice warm studio to sit in.
I've been here for years. This is not bad. It's not snowing. There's no ice on the ground. We're good. All right, we'll see you next
We'll
week.
see what happens. Hopefully, we get a new place pretty quick. And
Yeah.
don't have
If
to
not, we'll keep doing
because
it.
the weather's only getting worse from here.
Could be. All right,
let's
20 days.
step away a little bit here. So, Jerry Martin was with us just a little bit earlier there. Jerry was a dispensary owner in Whitewood, Saskatchewan, and he got run out of town, kind of like just like we got run out of this space here. Jerry had been operating his dispensary for about 4 years when Trudeau took over and brought in legalization, and then he gets a letter from Health Canada telling him to shut down and stop helping the people that he was helping. And I'll tell you that when you've been doing something like that, and like I've been doing, and other dispensary owners, it is not something that's really possible to do, to just turn your back on people who've been relying on you to help them. So yeah, Jerry, kept on going until they came and arrested him, and then took away his properties, and they've been prosecuting him in the way that they haven't brought him into court yet, right? Like he's got a prosecutor who's been after him and telling him all sorts of nasty things about his future and what have you, but he's never had his day in court, and that's been going on for almost 4 years. Jerry, come on in here. It'll be 4 years November, kind of like.
Yeah, November,
We're in November
like
now.
Days.
Couple
yeah.
days.
Like, yeah, what's
Holy
today?
fuck.
Third?
To the
Want to move back to the
yeah,
other?
just so we don't have the street block here. But tell me, so 4 years, Jerry. So over here.
4 years of fighting all of this. Now you have a court date,
Yeah.
so it's not this year.
No, April 20. Well, it'll come up pretty quick.
I know. I was
6
just.
months.
It's only a
But
few.
it's finally, yeah.
Is it 6 months?
6 months, yeah, November.
Yeah, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
Because legalization happened like exactly 6 months from 4/20, April 20th. So I think somebody was trying to do something rude to us with that as well, seems to
Yeah.
me. But so you're going to go to court. You've got a couple other claimants now with you, and this is a constitutional challenge.
Constitutional challenge, yeah.
All right, and that's about providing access to people, and
Yeah.
especially people that can't get it.
Yeah, medical storefront access, yeah.
Just exactly what we were trying to do
Yeah,
here. And
I mean, they need to see, touch, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Well, not
for
so much
sure.
touch, but, at least see the product, smell the product, get some advice on the product.
some human contact in many cases is
Yeah.
important, right?
Yeah, it's very important. Yeah, the therapeutic aspect. Plus, they need to ask questions. It's a medical thing. You're not allowed to ask questions. How are you supposed to treat yourself? It doesn't
A
make
little bit of guidance. I mean, isn't that what regulations are supposed to be all
Well,
about?
they do it so they don't have to know anything, right? Now it's, they just make it a law that we don't have to know anything. Now we don't have to know anything. We can just grow whatever. And we don't have to answer anything.
You know, regulations are these things that government can put on to retail sold things if there's problems that have arisen. And they need to be the least intrusive possible into your human rights, because it's a real balance between when you're regulating somebody to not be able to do something and their right as a free human
Unless you're
being.
them.
But regulations, almost always, all you need is a little bit of advice or education on the packaging, right? Don't use this under these circumstances.
Right.
Only take this amount, blah, 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 blah. So here, we were selling high-dose cannabis edibles. You can eat too much. You can green out. We got real good concentrates as well, and people can green out on that if they are not used to it and they smoke too much. Even cannabis itself, if you're not used to using it, it can be really disorienting. You should not be driving if you're just smoking weed for the first time, and things like that. But we tell the people all these things. And when they're coming in, they go, well, I really want to get up in the morning and get going, and I don't seem to have any energy. And you can go, well, sativa seems to give more people energy than the other side of it, so that might work for you. Or, I'm having trouble sleeping at night, so you can say, indica,
Yeah.
You're not saying it's going to do anything for them, but you're giving them some guidance. And without guidance, I mean, maybe they're going to take a sativa when they're trying to sleep, and they're going to be up all night with their brains racing, cleaning their everything. Or, the other way around, they want to get up and going, and now they smoke a heavy indica and they're going back to bed. So a little guidance is a good thing. But the government, whose role it is to put regulations on things, which, like I say, are typically just advice, guidance, a little bit of the facts of how things can and cannot interact, in this dangerous substance, and apparently it's really dangerous because, got to use the criminal law to make sure people don't get access to it. Like, holy shit, that's pretty heavy if you're going to use the criminal law against something. So this dangerous drug marijuana, when you do go to sell it somewhere, by government regulation, you can't tell anything about it. Here you go. There's some weed for you. See ya.
An ambulance right now. I just lit up a
yeah,
great
that's
fucker.
a big. That should kill you, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like
911.
Oh my God. So we've been just doing what we do, demonstrating every day, demonstrating that hey, I can provide this to these people. It's gonna help them, not hurt them. And do you ever have any like lawsuits? Like anybody come back and say, hey, that weed hurt me and I'm suing your ass?
No, and I didn't say that. I did have one complain, said, I can't remember what it was, but that's, she's riding my case.
Yeah.
Well, she's quit now, won't mention any names, but she's retracted that statement and saying the police made it all up.
So you had 1,000 members,
Right.
4 years.
Right.
I mean, that's got to be a lot of doses of weed you put out there. Medical grade cannabis.
Yeah.
A lot of doses of weed.
Yeah.
And no lawsuits, nobody no malpractice, no he told me this when,
Complaints, in fact,
Yeah.
in fact
Quite the opposite,
the
right?
fire department brought that up to the city council,
Right.
and said, Jerry's been here for 4 years and he's never had a complaint. And they're complaining about all the drinking and driving in there. Well, what it was all about was the $10,000.
Firemen go to every case of everything, every accident, everybody, and they're always there.
They
Right?
had outdated fire equipment in suits, or they can die. Trying to help us. So I offered them $10,000 for a new equipment, and
Nice.
and so this is how this started, a big town meeting, and so the fire department stood up for us in the end. And,
No, it's
which
just
is great,
ludicrous, I mean, just
But in
about,
the end, they wouldn't let them have it.
so yeah, they don't want medical claims. They don't want people telling anything about how it can help you, and it's so wrong. It's just like this whole thing. Since I had to quit my job 16 or so years ago to go full time on this, it just has gotten more and more ludicrous. When I first thought this is just crazy, this can't be the case. I mean, really, this plant that's so versatile and so non-harmful. It's had the criminal law used against it. It's like the number one thing police are worried about in Canada, and all these young people getting criminal records and shit. And the more I looked into it, the worse it got. And the longer I've been involved with it, the worse it gets. We're in 2020, for God's sakes, and we've just been shut down from doing what is life-saving work in a storefront where, why? Like, why? Where was the provincial government, if the city can't intervene and do it for us? And Rebecca Bly said she was really disappointed. She felt bad that she didn't have enough time to figure out how the side of City Hall that was positive for us could intervene and stop the eviction. She just didn't have enough time. So she didn't have enough time. City Hall couldn't do it. Where's the provincial government? Where's Judy Darcy, or now whoever is the new Minister of Addictions? Shouldn't they be here? Like, oh my God, pounding the fucking phone. Like, no, don't you dare kick him out. Yeah. Like, where are they? Or where's the federal government? Or where's coastal health? Where's coastal health in all of this? When we're giving out high-dose edibles, we're helping all these people.
For some of these big LPs,
where's anybody?
Should be down here and saying, "Hey, use our product."
Exactly.
Good,
Where's anybody? Like, I don't get it. Like, it's just, it's terrible. And the media didn't come down to talk to us. I did do some interviews with, some fringe media people that, cared. But the mainstream media, Linda Steele wanted to know more after I wrote her a pretty good detail of what was going on. I've been talking to Linda about it a few times over the years too. But, asked me for a bunch of bullet points to make it easier, and then I haven't heard back from her. You would have thought she would have got a hold of me and had her on the show before we actually had to walk out and turn it back into some old sign shop. So I don't know where the mainstream media is on this. This is one of the hugest stories going on in our world. We have a huge epidemic going on of people dying from overdoses on drugs. We've got this other pandemic that, everybody has to wear masks and stay home and stay away from each other, and they shut down fucking businesses, and they gave everybody a whack of fucking money to make sure that we all, survive it. Well, this other epidemic is killing more people here by a
go to jail for taking that money if you don't pay it back.
They're putting you in jail for it?
Yeah, dude, you owe them money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Scary stuff.
That's the story I heard. I didn't take the money. I don't trust that fucker. But a lot of people couldn't help it. They needed the money.
They needed the money, exactly right.
Yeah, all these businesses apparently that took the money. That's now their businesses, right? They're part owners in that.
So many people got laid off. So many people were paying their rent, and all of a sudden they're laid off. You know, if the government's saying, "Here, we're going to help you. Here you go." You know, you make a phone call. It's real easy. You know, remember 9 numbers when you get the phone call, and there you go. I mean, who's not going to take advantage of that when the whole world seems to be going crazy? When you scare somebody, and then they're financially at risk, and then you offer them a little bit of a lifesaver, who's not going to go for that?
Well, that's what they do.
They do.
Skittles. You know, and then that's how you control the society.
Yeah.
Keep them real down and give them
Create a real serious situation, and then be there with the answer for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's been going on for a very long time. So yeah.
Trust us.
Well, I hope we're learning a whole bunch of stuff through all of this as well. I don't know what you guys are learning, but I'm learning that they're not telling us the truth. I'm learning that they're not telling people that if you're social distancing, you probably shouldn't be wearing the mask for a number of different reasons. If you can't physically distance from people, maybe there's a virus that you should worry about, and maybe you can put your mask on and that's all fine. I'm not anti-mask or anything. I'm not saying there is no virus. I don't really know, but you know, it seems like how could all these people be lying about it at the same time? So I don't know about.
I would say if you're
I'm
gonna
no
catch it.
scientist.
I mean, here's the spot, dude, and down in, you know, East Van is, you know, it's.
This is where people should have been catching.
But yeah.
Not very many
say
things.
60% of them have the antibodies in them already down in town. Whether or not that's true, that's a story I heard.
Oh, no. In this world,
Makes sense, though.
it is so hard to know. Like, I want to do the right thing all the time. That's just who I am. I would kind of like to do the right thing all the time. And doing the right thing is easy if you know what it is to do that is the right thing to do. But it's really hard to understand what it is that is the right thing to do a lot of times in this world, for sure. And yeah, so I don't know. Nowadays there are media like seems like credible. Excuse me. Cannabis cough. There are credible media sources that will report one thing, and then there's other credible media sources that tell the opposite story.
They work for the other politicians trying to get power.
I know, it's just insane. I've never seen so much differences in the sides of the stories that were.
I miss it when they used to have triple check their facts before
Journalistic
they were allowed.
integrity is a thing.
It's not anymore.
It's not
It's
anymore,
a race
apparently.
story. Whoever's got the cool story.
Yeah, and if people buy it,
The
they
most
buy it.
gory story.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, it's insanity. Well, so you're still doing your work trying to help people get access to psychedelics as well, because that's a big help in people with addictions and depression and other things like
Yeah,
that.
just working on our investor deck now and trying to get some.
All right.
Yeah.
So your court date coming up is just after April 20th next year?
April 24 to 26 it starts. I gotta do
Subject
it
to
in
change.
Phases.
In phases.
Yeah.
And will it be Zoom, probably, eh?
No, I think I gotta fly in. It's fire for now, anyways. I'm assuming I do. It'd be nice if I didn't have. Well, I'd rather be there.
Yeah, I think
Look at
so.
them in the eye.
Oh man, I didn't get to look
They
that
can just
judge
do
in the
whatever
eye to
they
kick
want.
us
That
out
guy,
of
you
it.
know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'd rather be there.
I was so much like, this judge made this horrible decision against us. I wanted to be in a courtroom.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Maybe I would have shown too much outrage. I'm not sure. I try never to do that. But
Well,
holy
what happened to
smokes.
the right to stand up for yourself in the courtroom?
I know. To meet your accuser. This was just a commercial tenancy dispute, so it wasn't that type of a case. But it was made into a case of serious harm is going to happen if they're forced to shut down right away. Just give them some time. And he did his very worst to us. So I just don't know how to fathom that. To me, it's attempted murder. That if he read the submissions from doctors, from Professor Malloy, the other stuff in our submission, you cannot escape the absolute fact that if we stopped, like we didn't do this today, if we just stopped and we're here for a couple of weeks, there's no question that hundreds of vulnerable people would be put at serious risk of even overdose and death. So, you know, for him to make that decision, I'm not sure how that's not attempted murder. Maybe, and he said he didn't have a detailed look at our submission, which is extremely negligent, except he had 4 days before the decision to do that, so I thought, you know, he would. But if he didn't, you would think that that's criminal negligence, you know, causing death. So, I don't know, we live in a very corrupt world here still. It needs to be reviewed somehow, some way. And the media should be reporting on it, and then it would get some traction. But if the media not reporting on it, they just get away with it. You know, we were never there. That was never a little community pot shop.
I feel you do. It breaks my heart when I go back to Whitewood every once in a while and I see that building, man. You know, all that. You know?
Crazy stuff. All right, Jerry. Thank you, my friend. We'll see where we're at next week, I guess. Maybe we'll still be here. Maybe we'll have found a storefront and we have good news for people. I don't know. The continuing saga of the community cannabis shop. Scooby. The Scooby van.
I like it.
Cool. All right, so what we have up for you next is one of our more passionate volunteers. I don't know if I can say that. They're all very passionate. One of our more articulate. She's a social butterfly, in fact. She so beautifully writes her reports every day of what's going on here at our store and how she feels about things, and gives people a glimpse of, you know, the interactions that we have and what we're doing. And she recently wrote an essay and submitted it to, I think, Vancouver is Awesome or something.
No, Carnegie.
To the Carnegie Center.
They had a writing contest.
And it was chosen in the first place. And so she didn't get the opportunity to read it there like she was supposed to, so I'd like to give her the opportunity to read it here. And so, much to my delight, and I'm sure to yours as well, I'll introduce Jen Nelson and her essay.
Hi. All right. So my essay was called Frontline Workers. Okay, so my definition of a frontline worker may be different than most. Yes, doctors and nurses are important, but the real heroes, the true frontline workers, are not those making over $20 an hour. It's those that are highly underpaid and never mentioned in the media. They're your peers, your friends, your neighbors. They're the ones doing incredible work for tiny amounts of money or none at all. The people that rush to your rescue when they find you in an alley or on the street. The people picking up garbage and needles on a daily basis. The people making and distributing sandwiches, meals to the people that the rest of the world has forgotten. To us, taking care of our community and the people in it is so much more than a job, it's a calling. Doctors and nurses get paid well for what they do, but the little people in the background, helping our world run, being cogs in the machine, generally without recognition or adequate pay, these are the essential frontline workers. We put ourselves in harm's way to make the world we live in a safer and better place to be for all. Immersed in pain and hopelessness and surrounded by suffering and death, we are the ones fighting to force the sun through the clouds to give you a glimmer of hope. Fighting to revive countless motionless bodies. Fighting to breathe life into those on the verge of no return. Fighting for our community to be whole. And fighting for all of us to be seen, no longer ignored. To all of the incredible, resilient, headstrong, dedicated, extraordinary, unrelenting, and fierce people fighting the good fight every damn day. The true essential frontline workers that not only breathe life into victims of the opioid crisis, but breathe new life into our community with all they do every day and give hope to the hopeless. Thank you. You may not get mentioned in the news or the paper. You may even think no one knows what you do, but I see you, I acknowledge you, and most certainly appreciate you. We stay strong because of you. We stay standing because of you, and countless lives are still in existence because of you. Thank you. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. When this epidemic of overdose deaths hit, at that same time the city of Vancouver was regulating the current illegal dispensaries and imposed regulations that banned the sale of high-dose edibles at all. And because I had first-hand knowledge of how important high-dose edibles would be to people trying to get off these now deadly drugs, I went to our city council. I appealed to them to allow us to do this. I asked for their support. I told them why it was the right thing to do, and I got silence. Van Du knew how important it would be, and they gave me permission to use their place. Jen and a few others came along and also recognized how important it was, and they've been standing strong with me ever since. But the judge says I have unclean hands, although I've never been charged or arrested. But we could have all been charged and arrested, and that's the world that we're living in. And so Jen is absolutely right about all these people that are willing to risk, those other dispensary owners that are illegal and still standing open, staying strong. You think it's for money, and there's certainly money involved as they need to protect themselves from corrupt government. But I'll tell you, every dispensary owner has a list of people that are helping to come there, that bring them to tears, and make them stay open despite the knowledge that their liberty could be at risk, all of their properties could be at risk. Jerry Martin lost everything by putting together a dispensary that he refused to close when the government told him to, because you can't turn your back on people. And the government seems to be able to turn their back on people. All of these institutions around us that we actually fund and pay for, the police and the courts and even the medical profession, they all seem to be able to turn their backs on people. Where is Coastal Health? Why aren't they here making sure that we get to continue the work that nobody else is doing that needs to be done? So we stand here together, but apart from those institutions that are trying to prevent us from threatening their bottom line profits and the control that they have over us. And help us if you can. Write letters, make phone calls, talk to everybody. This world could be way better if we all just put a little bit of effort into it and tried to allow what we did to continue instead of be stopped the first time we came in contact with government. And that's about what I got to say for all that. I'm going to cut the show short today. It's cold and wet out here. You know, I've given you the update on what's going on. There's other shows that happen on Pot TV on a regular basis. On Wednesdays, it's Greg Williams with From Under the Influence and all of his insightful, interesting ways of looking at things and pointing out the truths in this world. And then on Thursday, it's BC Bud Gal and, geez, I'm going to forget the name. Tell me what the name is, Neil.
Morning Glory.
Morning Glory, of course. Morning Glory, which has an actual time slot of, I think, 10 a.m.
10 a.m. People said 9 was too early.
Right, and then we put the clocks back, so that'd be like way too early. So Morning Glory on with BC Bud Gal on Thursdays. On Friday, Johnny B with How's It Growing? Great show he's got. It gets a little noisy down here. So Johnny B with How's It Growing on Fridays at 4:20 or 4 o'clock, I guess, or shortly thereafter. You know, we're always close to that somewhere. On Saturdays, it's Boss Lissa with High Noon, back with her rotating co-hosts and holding it down. On Sunday, you get to just review all the different shows that you didn't see, and then right away on Monday, we have probably the most entertaining and fun show of all, Carly Marley, BC Bud Gal, the 420 Lifestyle Show. And I'll be back next Tuesday with another update of what's going on here with the Cannabis Substitution Program and the Healing Wave Dispensary, the Serious Hope Society. I want to thank Neil for all his help with pulling this off and holding me still for the last little while here in the cold and wet. And all of the people that support us and all the people that are still coming and supporting us here, and all of you out there for watching. And let's try to make the world a better place, and let's fight for our rights and not let them just have their way with us. Let's go out there and change the world, and while you're doing it, just have as much fun as you can. Hey, Wes.
Yeah.
Raindrop on my